When the time skip after Tenryuya Island was revealed, there was a lot of hype being built up for the battle between Gejeel and Natsu versus Sting and Rogue. The new generation of Dragon Slayers had a great build up. They were introduced as two wizards who had actually killed a dragon, which at the time was a really big deal. We saw Agnologia demolish the best and brightest of Fairy Tail, including the guild master himself, Makarov. However, the ending of the battle with Sting and Rogue versus Natsu and Gejeel still leaves a bad taste in the mouth of a lot of fans. That's why in today's video, I plan to look at whether or not we should have seen the two Fairy Tail wizards lose their battle in the Grand Magic Games. Looking at the fight objectively, without the cliche answers like plot lets Natsu win and friendship power will always power up the main character, there's a good argument to be made that Natsu should have lost the match. Sure, this falls in the category of a shonen, which means that themes of friendship and bonds with loved ones would lead to some random power-up. However, for the sake of adding more attention to the Grand Magic Games arc, Natsu should have been given the boost in power that he got. However, the combined power of Sting and Rogue, two fighters who have more experience using Dragon Force, should have been more than enough to defeat Natsu, especially given the fact that they were built up in the manner that they were. Having Fairy Tail's hot-blooded wizard, who foolishly removed Gejeel from the fight, lose the match would have changed everything, especially with these getting overpowered. The road to victory for Fairy Tail winning the Grand Magic Games would have been that much harder. It would have added real tension to the story that didn't feel like it was being forced. It could have possibly even allowed for the storyline with future Rogue to get pushed back, instead be given its own arc, which would allow for the details to be better fleshed out. I'm not saying Hiro Mashima did a bad job when he wrote the two storylines for the Grand Magic Games and the other subplots that were being introduced, but the idea of Rogue coming from a future timeline that was destroyed by the dragons would have been something that would have been better explored. This might also give Hiro Mashima a much needed opportunity to pull back the scope of the story from focusing directly on Natsu for an extended period of time. In order to prevent this video from getting too far off the topic, I'll say that for another video in the future. The point is that having Sting and Rogue defeat Natsu so single-handedly would show Natsu has a long way to go in terms of power, especially given the fact that people like Tartarus and Agnologia and the Spriggan 12 await him in the future. It would make the anticipation for a rematch that much more epic, especially if Gejeel was defeated as well. It would lead to more tension when he faced off against Rogue. It would open the door for more strategy to be used, which is important because that is Mavis's specialty, and she was the one who was coaching Fairy Tail throughout the Grand Magic Games, coming up with different strategies that made best work of each of the fighters of Fairy Tail's abilities. It would make the twist in the battle between Gejeel and Rogue feel much more earned than it really was. Finally, it might even possibly cause those fans who dropped the series when Sting surrendered to stick around, since going about getting to that moment would have been done a lot more differently and it potentially would feel more earned. So what do you guys think? Should Sting and Rogue have beaten Gejeel and Natsu? Do you agree? That's it for my video today. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have an awesome day.